Good morning again, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend, and thanks for joining this morning. I'm joined by some colleagues who I will introduce in a moment. Again, my name is Mike Conroy. I am Director of Data2Sustain, which is a newly established European Digital Innovation Hub, one of 4 that are operational across the country. And I'll explain that in a few moments in terms of how that works and how it can support both SMEs and public service organizations on their digitalization journey around innovation and skills. So this morning, I'll make a brief introduction in relation to that, and then I'm going to introduce my colleagues who are on the call, Phelim Murnion from ATU Business School and Dr. Owen Foley from the Computer Science Organization. So we've got a good team together this morning, which for what we think is the launch of an interesting set of services that will engage with companies and other organizations, we hope, over the next several months. So the focus is on business intelligence, data analytics, and insights. And I'll jump straight into what we mean behind that in the context of this session, because obviously it's a very broad topic, and we'll focus in on some very specific areas of skills development, leveraging our existing technology, and sort of working across many aspects of your business in terms of how you can leverage these services. So as a backdrop to Data2Sustain, it's a European Digital Innovation Hub. It's a consortium of all the university innovation and research groups within the Western and Northern regions. We work in collaboration with 3 other groups in Ireland, and it also has dedicated technical and leadership staff, including myself, which are very focused on the digitalization support of SMEs and other companies in the region. It's in partnership with the Regional Skills Forum, ITAG, and some other groups. And as I said earlier, Phelim and Owen will get going in a moment. Let me set the scene a little bit again on Data2Sustain. This will be available, by the way, as a recording afterwards. I also should have said, sorry, at the start, that this session will be approximately 1 hour long. I'll speak for another couple of minutes. There will be an opportunity to put questions in the chat. In fact, we actively encourage putting questions in the chat, and we'll try and address them as we go. And they can be quite specific or broad questions. We'll also talk at the end as to how to engage directly with me and with the participants on the call here via the website and through other methods. So again, Data2Sustain, it's a broadly based, made up of the participants as shown on the slide, with a core group of technologists and service delivery people led by myself. The services are kind of in those broad 4 areas. And today we're kind of very focused on skills and human capacity, kind of linked with sort of leveraging data in your business and innovation in general. So we'll talk about that in more detail. The main thing to remember about the European Digital Innovation Hubs is they're pre-funded, so the funds are in place. It's service orientated around companies and other organizations. It's either free from an open access perspective, or it's 100% discounted and free effectively through de minimis state aid. And we'll talk about what that means in terms of qualification shortly. In terms of the broadly, I'll just put this up slide as a general sort of overview of it's a very obviously super broad topic. But when we look across the capability of the consortium, there's many places where the organization can, I think, make a difference for companies over the next 3 years. I won't go into the details here, but specifically, we're kind of focused a little bit around data and decision making this morning when we go into this workshop with Phelim and Owen shortly. And we're obviously focused on how it touches many, many sectors potentially, because it's really around, it's really multi-sectoral. Before I hand off to Phelim, just to set the context around business intelligence, and whether you're a very small business at startup phase or maybe a significant operation, but perhaps limited, maybe deliberate, limited data and business intelligence sort of formality in your business. So we'll talk about what the various levels of maturity in that regard, but whether you're focused on, the operation, customer engagement, portfolio development, whatever. But if you look at the studies, it's not so much about the technology and the tools that's in your business, but it's actually how those tools are used and structured from a training and skills development perspective. And so what we're doing this morning is really at the intersection of skills development and the consultancy one-on-one advisory services the group can deliver here, either as a group or one-to-one, and sort of then leverage the existing technology and platforms that are most likely already in your business, but underexploited. It's not about investing in new technology. It's not about investing in new innovation projects. It's about really leveraging a lot of what you've got, and then also getting perhaps some advice and advisory regarding where you can strategically invest to do more in terms of moving along the maturity curve in your business. So with that, I will hopefully Phelim and Owen will demystify things a little bit more and get into the nitty-gritty. And then most importantly, this is about launching stuff that's coming and how you can quickly get to engage the folks on this call and perhaps others around your business over the next several months. With that, I'll pass over to Phelim. Good morning, Phelim and Owen, and you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mike. My name is Phelim Murnion. I'm going to present this webinar with Owen and present our service to you today. What we're looking to do is to help you develop deeper expertise in business intelligence, data analytics, and insights. And we're hoping to do that via a series of workshops and one-on-one group training consultancy services. I'm working out of the business school in ATU Galway. I'm a senior lecturer in information systems, and I'm working with the team that are developing business analytics courses. So we're very excited to be able to bring our expertise and connect to businesses in this project. So our objective is to use business intelligence to deliver insights. We're going to look at business analytics, why it's critical to your organization, the required data management for effective business analytics, and how to improve your capability. And then we'll also describe something about the service structure and how we're going to provide support and services. So the services that are coming up will be a diagnostic and assessment service. We'll provide that to you initially. We'll move on from that to customize a roadmap to improve your business analytics capability. And as we move along that roadmap, we'll provide customized training and upskilling services in the area of business analytics and business intelligence. And we also have a platform ready and a service to enable collaboration among users, among clients, and build a community of practice. So there's a sign-up process and a start date next month, which Mike might talk to later on as well. So the agenda for today's webinar is we're going to just introduce you to our perspective on business intelligence and analytics. We'll look at some definitions and case studies. Then I'm going to go through a flow from data to decisions. So we'll look at some concrete examples of the types of problems, solutions, and services that we can offer. And then Owen will look at advancing your maturity and capability. And then we'll return to Mike and he'll talk about the action planning and next steps for the whole service. So as I said, the upcoming services are one-to-one consultancy services and some workshops straight away. Okay, so we'll start with an initial case study just to give you our perspective, because business analytics and business intelligence can be a pretty large problem. Just take a given business problem. You've got a background, you have a customer support team in a service business handling support and calls. So that's basic customer support operations. Your aim is to leverage data and insights from this customer support operation to enhance your product lifecycle management. So you want to go from data to decisions. So the challenge for most organizations, then you've lots of data, you've no information, you've no insight into your operations. So a solution path then is to work through a series of steps going from data to decisions. So the first step might be from support operations data, extract a service type and a problem type, then connect this operations data to your service catalog and to your customer database. Then you can see an integrated view onto the whole service operations. From that, you can go to step 2, generate reports showing basic sets of information like services with the most support problems and customers with the most support activity. So that tells you what your problems are, who are the problem customers, are they your important clients and customers. Then you can move to predict service failures with trend analysis on support activity. So you can see trends in support activity, or are support calls accelerating for a particular service? Is there a problem coming up? Or are support calls declining on a service? Has a service reached some sort of maturity level that the customers are happy with it? That enables the final step, which is service lifecycle management. So now you're managing the life cycle of your services by using support call data, using reports and predictive services. So the reports in step 2 enable you to do reactive management, reactive decision making, and the predictive service in step 3 enables you to do proactive decision making. So that's our model of the path from data to decisions. You've got some data management process you need to organize. You've got business intelligence processes. You've got business analytics processes at 3, and that results in data-driven decision making. So that's a simple case just to illustrate the problem, and we're going to step through each of those phases now in a little bit more detail. So before we do that, we're going to throw up a questionnaire. Questionnaire is going to be thrown into chat. So there's a poll. You can just look at that questionnaire and start answering that yourselves, and we'll be able to talk you through that questionnaire in detail when we meet up with you on one-on-one. So that's going to go into chat for you to have a look at now. So the path from data to decision. So we give you a brief, I give you a brief case study to illustrate the problem. Now we're going to step through those phases in a bit more detail. So your objective is data-driven decision making at speed. Data-driven decision making for efficiency or productivity gains, for better portfolio management, for customer engagement effectiveness, or for risk management and mitigation. You have a number of many different strategic targets that can be supported by this approach. And the approach means effectively identifying and managing data to support business intelligence and business analytics. So we have 4 steps we want to work through. Can you complete each of these? Then you can conduct effective data-driven decision making. So the first phase is data management. So where are you now in data management? Typically, organizations have their data in silos. So you'll have data in customer relationship management systems like Salesforce. You'll have enterprise resource planning systems. You'll have financial management, supply chain. And then there's the inevitable spreadsheet jungle. Lots of important operational data in spreadsheets, not that well connected to other data sources. And of course, you have external data over which you have little control. Even inside each silo, you have a lot of operational data. The data may be optimized for operations, but it's not optimized for decision making. So you have problems around your data quality. Do you have dates on invoices that are too detailed? Do they have special codes? Are they in the correct format? For decision making, you need to have appropriate time periods like months, years, quarters. So the data has to be reformatted to be the appropriate quality for decision making. Second problem is, does the data represent things that decision makers are interested in? So in the example detailed invoice data there, you have a device name. So you could have a device name like Nokia 2561, which is appropriate for an invoice. But for decision making purposes, we want to think in terms of larger pictures like brands like Sony, like LG, like Nokia. That's showing the age of that data set now. But we want to think in terms of brands, or maybe categories of brands, mobile devices, laptops, white goods. So we need to make sure that the data quality and the representativeness of the data is appropriate for decision making, not for operations. Those are features of the data sets in our data sources. But separately from that, we have to make sure that the understanding of the data by decision makers is appropriate. So decision makers have to have a way of looking at the big picture. They can't look at this operational data and understand it. Before we do anything complicated, we need to have some basic understanding of the data. So we need to, where do we want to go to? So to solve the problem of data in silos, we need to go through a data integration process. The data has to be integrated either factually or virtually, and we have processes for that. And yeah, so I see questions in chat. Do you want to take that, Owen, or do we want to leave that to the end?
No, I'll just comment on it there. Do
Yeah.
companies need to have a particular level of data analytics skills? From Brian there. No is the answer, and I'm going to talk a little bit more after Phelim, but we really want to reassure you on that. Your data can be top end, or it can be just you haven't even given a thought to it. Okay, so it's the whole spectrum, and stay with us in a few slides time, and I'll hopefully be able to basically flesh that out a little bit.
Okay, thanks, Owen. So that's the data. We need to data integrate to resolve that problem. The second one is the detailed operational data. We need to resolve the problem of data quality by going through a data cleansing process. So, for instance, we might sort out dates and convert them into proper time periods like months and years. Representativeness, we want the data to represent the things that we're interested in as decision makers, and to do that we need to have the data transformed. And in this case, so we'll pull out brands from products so we can look at categories of big things that managers are interested in. And thirdly, you want to have a mechanism for improving your understanding of the data. So the data has to be explored. We have to have a mechanism for doing ad hoc data. So that people can explore the data in an ad hoc, casual fashion prior to making decisions. So where do you want to be? You want to have your data integrated, cleansed, transformed, and explored. So how do you get there? How do we get from where you are to where you want to be? Obviously, technology is involved. As we said, we're not a technology service provider, but you will have technology already. So you will have basic integration toolkits such as Power Query for the Office suite. You might have some tools in your existing platforms like Salesforce or your enterprise resource planning platforms where you can connect data together, you can integrate data. And thirdly, of course, all database technologies like relational databases like MySQL, Oracle, and Azure, or maybe a NoSQL solution may be in place. And that's a fundamental tool for managing data and integrating data. So in order to manage this technology, you need to have skill sets and training. And this is where our service is particularly focused. You need operational training in using the above tools. You need to know how to use a particular toolkit that you have already or are looking to acquire. At a higher level, you need process knowledge. How do you conduct these? How do you carry out these processes such as integration, cleansing, transforming data? Those are formal business processes that we have quite a bit of knowledge about. And then on top of that, you want more fundamental context or background knowledge, the fundamentals of database design, how to carry out dimensional modeling, and basic programming languages like structured query language for databases. So those skill sets can help you to activate your technology to resolve the problems that we discussed. So the next phase then is, before we go to the next phase, we have an example scenario just to make it concrete. So this isn't a generic scenario like the first one in the webinar. This is about a scenario about what might it be like for you as a client working with us as a service provider. So you might have a problem such as this one. You have orders in an Excel workbook, some product data in a SharePoint list, and sales data in an ERP finance system. So you see the problem that we've talked about, you have it in your organization. You need to integrate, to cleanse, and to transform the data to enable basic reports for your marketing function. So you have a clear set of data and you have an idea of what you want to do with it. You may have something like Power BI or Tableau as a preferred available tool for the task. Now, you may have people who can visualize data and produce reports in these tools, but they don't have sufficient skills in the data integration process. So how can we help you in D2S? We can help you by having discussions on your problem specification and the suitability of the tools you're using. And then we can move to training and mentoring in the processes that you need to conduct. Things like data integration, data cleansing. In the case of Power BI, how to use the Power Query middleware that's built into that suite to do this specific integration and cleansing tasks. Then we might also be able to help you with the fundamental concepts like data modeling. So there's a specific scenario in the data management phase. So the next step then, when you've got your data managed, you think, right, okay, I've got the data organized. What I want to do next, you want to generate obviously summary reports. You might want to generate descriptive statistics, looking at all your data in one piece, and you'll want to be able to visualize your data generating charts. So this is the fundamentals of business reporting. This is business intelligence, sometimes described as descriptive analytics. You're using data to understand what has happened and what is happening in your business. So the standard tools for this are the old faithful, the old reliable Excel, Tableau for visual reporting, RStudio for generating statistics and visuals. And you'll also have existing reporting tools within your own customer relationship management system or ERP systems. So you want to leverage those reporting tools. So the skills and training we can provide in this, again, we can provide skills and training in specific toolkits where we have those in-house. We can also give you training in the conceptual problems like introductory statistics, data visualization, and report design, so that you can apply those to your tools and solve those problems. So the next phase is business analytics. So you've got your data management, data organized. You can generate reports. You can see the picture of what's going on in your business a little bit better, but you want to do some more advanced analytics. So business analytics focuses on diagnostics and predictive analytics. No longer just telling you what's happened, but using data to explain why it happened or predict what will happen. For this, you could build dashboards, including key performance indicators and predictive models. So your dashboards are collections of the reports that you've already been able to construct in the previous phase, but they're organized across a thematic problem-solving domain. And also your dashboards will now include things like targets and variances from targets. So you're getting at a deeper level of visualizing your data. And then predictive models. There's an example predictive model diagram at the bottom right from Modeler. So predictive modelers can allow you to classify or segment your data or predict future values for important things like customer sales, customer response to marketing based on your existing data. So the tools for the business analytics include, again, Excel. You'll have analytics tools in your existing platforms. So if you've got Salesforce has a very sophisticated analytics tools kit. We also have generic toolkits like the IBM Analytics toolkits, and we have programming languages for data science, such as R and Python. So the skills and training in this particular phase then is, again, how to use those particular toolkits, the ones that you have, the ones that you need to acquire. You also need to understand inferential statistics to be able to make predictions. You understand the process of building and running predictive modeling, and probably at least an introduction to machine learning. Finally, so data management, business intelligence, business analytics are the three technological processes that we can walk you through, and this will bring you to data-driven decision making. Data-driven decision making is a huge area, bigger than the scope of our service, but within that, we can help you with certain particular facets. The first thing is that your business intelligence and business analytics projects need to have a management process. So you need to be able to conduct the management of a BI project. Common problems with business intelligence project management is at the early phases, can you convert a business problem into an analytics problem? Can you rewrite a business problem so that it can be subjected to quantitative analysis? That's an important skill set. When your project is completed and you've built some reports or some analytics tools, can you evaluate your solutions? Do you know how to do solution evaluation? Do you have the metrics in place to tell you whether what you did worked? Did it contribute to the business or not? And finally, of course, you have to be able to deploy and implement any things that you build or do. So that deployment and implementation process needs to be formalized in your business. At a higher level, then, when you've got the project management of your business analytics working, you need to be able to enable digital transformation with your business analytics. At the very minimum, that means you need to be able to create repeatable processes. It's very common for people in the business intelligence or business analytics space to be able to conduct a project and find a result, but you want to be able to repeat that over and over again reliably. And then at the top level, you want to be able to embed that into your business processes. And that's real digital transformation. So the skills for this you need is business intelligence project management skills, probably business process modeling, so you can do the digital transformation, and at the highest level then some sort of understanding of change management. All right, so that's the data to decisions pathway, described how we see the problem that you're looking to solve. And I'm going to hand over now to Dr. Owen Foley to look at developing a roadmap for this process. Thanks, Owen.
Just a quick introduction. Interruption. Just encourage folks to fill out the survey forms as you go. Thanks. Back to Owen. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. Now that you've given me that heads up, there is a survey form gone out at the start. There's also a quick poll on a quick short poll going up as well. Yeah, so if you could just pop in your answers to that poll, that's basically related to what I've just completed. That's something we can use in the Q&A. Thanks, Eamon. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Phelim. Back to Owen. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. My name is Owen Foley, and I work in the computer science department here, and I work in the area of data, basically, or databases, and modeling them, basically, and modeling data problems, and getting from a real world problem to an actual solution. Okay, and that's taking a very applied and practical view of the world, and that's where I want to lead into on this. Phelim has given you a good overview of what this discipline is, and what I want to try and reassure people is it doesn't matter where your organization is, there is somewhere here that you can basically get something out of. I can imagine one or two people going, Phelim talking about the data-driven decisions and, you know, doing inference and looking 6 months ahead, and you're probably thinking to yourself, I can't get the orders off the today's orders out the door. I haven't got time for this stuff. Well, I want to reassure you, you have time for this stuff, because everybody is somewhere with their data. Okay, and the first stage in this is actually finding out where am I with all this. Okay, this, like many areas in IT, is just cluttered with acronyms and speak. So we're going to try and just pull back from a little bit of that and just give you an where's your capability and maturity with respect to your data. So I've kind of classified it into 3 areas there: foundational, intermediate, and advanced. And we're going to show you basically how you can look at your state of play as it is, and then decide, well, yeah, maybe if I could just even sort that out, that'd be a good start for me. Or, you know what, I haven't got that much resource, but this is what I want to do. You know, I know we have to do something with our data. Okay, let's prioritize what I'm going to do with our data. And that's what this service will provide you. It will basically give you your state of your present state of play, and then give you a roadmap along the way to improving your capability. And this is going to visit every organization, and all this is going to have to be a bit more formalized anyway. So no organization, no matter what you do, misses the tax deadline every year. They get their tax return in. They get so that responsibilities with data are going to continue. Like, so we're all familiar now with GDPR. It's probably bandied about a little bit too much, but this idea of putting a bit of structure and a bit of knowledge about your data, because it is it's very, very important to all organizations, irrespective of what you do. So what I want to try and introduce you to is, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And the steps you can take to get there in terms of capability. And in the literature, from an academic perspective, we talk about these in terms of models, okay? But to translate that into the real world, you've got to organize your data first. you can then start making some intelligence out of it. And the last part of it then is you can start to do some analytics on it. From my experience, most organizations are not organized enough with their data, okay? And you're really then behind the curve in trying to really, as Mike said at the beginning, leverage the potential of your data. It is a great asset that an organization has, and basically, if you have that, it really kind of will a knowledge of where you're at will really focus basically your organization's ability to move to the next stage. So it's all about improvement, but it's all about for your organization. It's not some generic model, right? And we're at pains to point that out here. It's not something generic. It's something that we try and get in and look at where you are and what you have to do to get to the next stage. So the initial stage of basically most organizations are basically the ability to do some ad hoc reporting and some basic business tools. Now, for most organizations, that might be just, as Phelim described it earlier, a jungle of Excel spreadsheets. Or it might be a little bit more organized. You might have some sort of CRM system or some bespoke system, which in most instances, you're probably not using its full capability, right? So to even just go in and look at that capability to say, right, can we look at can we identify the key data stores, and where appropriate, can we connect them together? Maybe if appropriate, say, could we centralize data? That could be as simple as getting the 25 spreadsheets that you have and maybe get them into one proper spreadsheet and have some sort of naming convention for each of the worksheets within that. Like as simple as that, okay? What are your data reporting requirements? Or are you, every time you need a report, basically going in and on the fly writing some sort of simple function, or you're actually manually doing it, okay? So if you're in that position, right, there are a few easy wins that an organization can do to basically, at that level, get some sort of improvement. So back to Brian had a question earlier. This is what I'm on about. It's organizations. That doesn't mean buying new software. It doesn't mean necessarily sending people off and training. It might be just organize what you've got and set it up in a way that basically, if the guy who normally looks after the IT is away on leave or is sick, that you're not pulling your hair out trying to figure out the next step. All right, so that's basically stage one. And a lot of organizations of significant size are in that phase. And people are probably slow to advertise that fact, but a quick audit of where you're at is I think it's a must for nearly every organisation, just to basically get themselves set up. An example basically of what we're talking about. So I'm talking like, say, something like a petrol station that's using a point of sales system to track sales, and there may be analytics capability on it, okay, but you're just primarily relying on manual reports. The sales guy maybe installed it 3 or 4 years ago. You just are glad that it works each day and you can get your information out of it. Maybe a bit of time for reflection. Let's see, can we leverage that particular system, and let's see, can we get our data organized in it, and can we start to get initially ad hoc reporting, and then maybe start to get some sort of scheduled reporting and leverage it to its best ability, okay? And we want to get away from basically the guy in the petrol station going, yeah, well, I know they're busy on a Sunday night because they're all going back to Dublin, or there's a match on anytime they're busy, okay? That's intuition, that's local knowledge, but you want to basically get some insights rather than just totally relying on something. So if you're an organization that doesn't have any formal processes with respect to your data, or you don't know the flow of data within your organization, our service is probably a good place to start, where we can point, look, that's what you need to get, that part of your house, get that in order first before you start thinking about doing something with reporting. So that's all around this whole area of data management. So and I say this to any organization, before any organization starts even thinking of analytics, you've got to be comfortable that the data is organized and it's managed. And it's not a function of IT, right? That's a really important point. It's a function of IT to implement a managed solution. But the actual first stage of that is that people are comfortable in understanding their data, where it resides in their organization, the flows of data in and out of your organization and through your organization, and where in your organization do you need aggregate data? Where do I need reporting data? Okay, and those have to be identified, and they need to be done independent of the technology. And anybody thinking of even buying a piece of technology, or some salesperson coming giving a pitch, that's the first thing you do. They can't do that for you post implementation of a system. They can tell you, oh yeah, this can report on this, that, and the other in your system, if you don't understand and see the business needs for the reporting. Okay, so you need to identify those independent of technology, and that's one of the first phases in a one-to-one mentored service we'd be trying to get across. So for organizations maybe that have been looking at data and have spent a bit of time on it, you in phase 2 would have centralized data repository for data that's appropriate to be centralized. And generally that revolves around your financial systems and your stock control systems, and that they're talking to each other. And once we have that, you're in a position then to start getting proper business intelligence, where you can get some ad hoc reporting and scheduled reporting. And then maybe, as Phelim outlined earlier, you can start to use some of the expanded descriptive statistics for basic analytics. Integration is a word that when you hear it bandied about, it's, you know, people talk about it very easily, but any integration plan or project is a very, very big undertaking, and there's a life cycle in it, and it's important that people take that on board. So data integration can happen at many levels. I would say from a summary system or an organization, an aggregate reporting data, to get that out of existing systems before you start any sort of integration. Leverage aggregate reporting and maybe start to produce simple dashboards. Now, what I mean by that is using things like simple dashboards in Excel and using aggregate functions that Excel has. All right, most organizations have an Excel spreadsheet at the heart of decision making. How good they have it is basically what will lead to the ability to predict and forecast. So if we get to the second level, after organizing our data, after understanding the business needs in terms of aggregation and reporting, then you should be in a position to basically start doing some sort of non-intuition based decision making, where the data is going to start driving your decision making. So an example of a company that might be at the intermediate level, it could be a small shoe shop, right? And you might have some online sales. And I came across one recently, actually, in Ballina, and they have this capability in terms of selling to their customers. So you, in this instance, are utilizing data dashboards to monitor sales performance and customer trends. So again, monitoring, say, trends when are most of your e-commerce sales, when is your sales basically face to face, okay? And then the business needs that flow out of that. As simple as, right, we need more staff on those particular days. For some reason, you can dig down into data and you can see when the sales are. Right, I'm going to schedule people there, rather than scheduling the same number of staff over a period. You conduct regular sales and inventory reports for a better understanding of product popularity. Okay, so you're going to see in more real time basically what's selling, what's moving, and basically, again, how to allocate your resource, and then identify top selling items and seasonal trends. But you're kind of lacking the predictive capabilities. But again, from my own experience, and a lot of companies, if they got to this level, that might be enough. They'd say, God, if we got that far, it'd be brilliant, because I'd know where we stand. Because one of the questions I often get asked is, can you tell me what's in that spreadsheet? You know, can you tell us something about the data in that spreadsheet? And that's not what you've got to do. You've got to sit down and ask the business decisions, what data do I need in order to be in a position to run the business properly? And that's, again, through the series of one-to-one seminars and mentoring and questionnaires that we have. We try and extract that from you and try and give you a roadmap towards improving your capability. Final level then, which is an advanced level of maturity. And again, to reassure people, very, very few organizations are at this, are at this level, because most organizations are concentrating on their operational day-to-day business, and especially for small to medium-sized enterprises, because they mightn't have a big IT department that can go off and do this stuff for them. But you have well-established processes and they're potentially automated. So integration, say, stock systems with integrating stock systems with financial systems, and then direct feeds to dashboards. Data is stored that's basically, it's in a format that business intelligence tools can be used by the user on the fly, rather than basically specific reports having to be built for a particular situation. That you can use those tools in order to have leverage the full potential of business intelligence tools. Data has to be properly organized, and it has to be generally, not always, but generally centrally stored from a logical perspective anyway, centrally stored. And then you're in a position to start doing predictive and diagnostics analytics. But there's no use buying these tools until your data has been managed and gets into a format that is suitable for it. Data governance is really, really important, and we are a way along the road where organizations are going to be certifying their data governance. Okay, that's already been introduced to a degree with the GDPR. We need to establish basically data-driven culture within organizations, and if that happens, then the process of GDPR and then any other legislative requirements on businesses will be built into your business processes, so it doesn't become a separate parallel process that you have to do in order to run your business. So again, you're then at an organization that's an advanced level, can use the full suite of tools and capabilities of BI, and then you can start to even go a stage further. You can look at performance monitoring and begin to diagnose issues and get the root causes of it. But again, this is all flowing back to really, really good, well-modeled data and good data management. What would something that would have an advanced level of capability look like? So you might have a small to medium-sized e-commerce retailer specializing in electronics or gadgets, or it could be some specific item, not necessarily in that area, but just as an example. So you have predictive customer lifetime value, dynamic pricing, supply chain analytics, customer journey analytics, fraud detection and prevention. So really what you're looking at here is, we're not talking about any operational data. You have taken that data, and because it's properly modeled and because it's properly managed and you're comfortable with understanding that data, the organization is now in a real position to start making data-driven decision making. Okay, it's real analytics capability. I would be surprised if very many organizations are presently in that position. Okay, so, and you mightn't even want to get to that position. You might just be happy. Look, I want to get my data organized first. I want to come up for air, and then I want to try and move on to the next stage of it. So basically, how do I come along the road with us if you want to get involved? And like, this is the first stage of it is the roadmap today, and then there's the next stage is to basically talk to us and try and let us engage with you via our questionnaire to try and tease out basically what your present level of maturity with respect to the data is. And I would expect the vast majority of organizations to be really at the early stage of maturity, because unless you've specifically gone down the line of embracing all this, which most organizations, especially small to medium-sized enterprises, they're in their growing phase. This is something that you don't do initially. There's enough work getting operational data flowing through your organization. So the services that are under development and what we're putting together here are one-to-one consultation sessions of 2 hours. So we find out a good bit about an organization and its data in a 2-hour sessions, and you can book those and you can do them online with us, or you can come in here and we can do them face to face. Drop-in sessions, short notice for ongoing engagement. So once we basically get it going, that you can come in here and maybe you've gone away and done a bit in terms of analysing what's going on in your organisation, and you want to come back in here and regroup and find out. We might then try facilitation of workshop for groups, so businesses at the same size or coming up against the same problem, and we'll judge that as the community of practice grows. So that can be customised or it can be on demand. And throughout this, we are going to identify the whole time there are going to be training deficits, for want of a better word, where you might say, okay, I have my data organized now. Okay, you need somebody to maybe go and get some training in the advanced features of Excel. Okay, or somebody to do some training to model the data in your organization. Okay, so that might we might envisage you coming in here doing short courses, or we might point you to other Data2Sustain services that might be up and running. So we might do, after doing a questionnaire, find out, okay, your cybersecurity really needs to be looked at, right? There's a cybersecurity Data2Sustain service. Maybe you should try and avail of that. So there'll be live asynchronous work online, and we're going to have a platform as well. It's supported by open access or de minimis, and Mike will talk a little bit more about that. Just to try and kind of put this in a kind of the service in a path and where we're at with it, and how you can try and improve your capability by going along this path, basically an advisory, and then we're tailoring each solution and then trying to share your experience so that we get the community of practice and the particular training services that you need, and we'll try and signpost you towards those. And again, you can make the decision then with respect to your level of capability and maturity, or over what timeline you want to do this, because we're really cognizant of the fact that you're live operational businesses and the bottom line must be the bottom line. You have to keep all that going. So to try and tailor it to that kind of an environment. I'm going to hand over to Mike there again. He just might take control. You're muted there, Mike.
Oh, yep. Thank you. Owen, thank you very much, and Phelim earlier. So we're kind of coming towards the end. I think the form's been up there, so anybody who's had an opportunity to put it in, that would be fantastic. As I said at the start, we're at the sort of ramp-up phase of the Data2Sustain sort of program. Let me just describe a little bit how you sort of follow up and engage on this. By the way, this webinar, will be reposted, so it can be amplified onwards through our partners and agencies and perhaps people that are on the call. But I'll just talk you through this briefly, and then we'll kind of go through some questions and answers. And if you've got some additional ones, please pop them in. So, if you like what you heard today, you think you just want to have a conversation, we can set that up really very quickly in terms of exploratory, as both of the guys identified. You can get on the website. You'll see a lot of services in there, about 22 different services. There will be evolution of those pretty much every month. You can select your interest, and we'll get back to you on that. Or you could just basically email info@data2sustain.ie. It'll come to me and some of the team. So the next step will be some of these, let's say, fast company-specific advisory clinics. We'll also be working on developing some multi-company clusters. So we'll be able to work with the agencies and some of the cluster managers to sort of make them, to also allow some community learning. And as this evolves both at the platform level, I think that's going to be an important aspect in the region to be able to bring together groups. And then obviously, as the guys also pointed out, there's lots of very targeted training classes that which has kind of gone through that session. There's a better understanding of the company, you know, either through any of the ATU campuses, of which there's 9 across the region. But we will some more on that to follow. So with that, maybe I'll go to some questions. And like I said, all the attendees will get an email and a link to the recording, and you know how to follow up directly.